Hi, my name is Tom Guthrie. I'm the President and CEO of Twisted Pair Solutions. At Twisted Pair, we're focused on how do we enable mobile workers with critical communications applications. Mobile workers can be using several different devices and systems, but we want to make sure that you can communicate with each of those as you need for your job. There's a lot of different devices out there. You may have some mobile workers that are using a private system. Maybe it's a radio system, so they have private radio frequencies with push-to-talk capability on those channels. You want to make sure that you can communicate with the users where this device is appropriate. You have others that may have a specialized device, like this one, maybe running Windows CE from an operating system. But we want to make sure that if there's a mobile worker that this is the right device, that we can communicate with the users of this. There's also a wide variety of smartphone devices, tablets of all different sizes that might have access to the data channels on a private network or also might have access to a public carrier network. But again, we want to make sure that regardless of the role of the team, that you can communicate to each of those mobile workers regardless of the device that they are using. One of the applications that we've built is called the Wave Dispatch Communicator. It's a very full functional application that can run on any Windows PC, but it's looking at how can you perform the role of dispatch using a software application instead of having a large piece of hardware with a lot of equipment in a back room. You simply have an application you could run on a laptop or a desktop device. So I'm going to ask Joel Gruen, our product manager, to walk you through some of the basic capabilities of our Wave Dispatch Communicator.
Thanks, Tom. The Dispatch Communicator, as Tom mentioned, is a fully functional dispatch application. It's the type of application that you would see in a public safety setting or in an enterprise where there are lots of people out in the field that are dispatched. That might be a utility or in transportation or lots of different things. What we've got here is an example specifically designed for public safety. And you can see that we've set up 6 different communications channels or groups of people that need to work together as a team, and we've bunched them together, and the dispatcher has the ability to communicate out to each of those teams or all of those teams at once as necessary. So if we walk through this application, you'll see on the left-hand side of the application is a list of all of your teams and all of your groups. And you can turn those on and turn those off as you need, and that gives you the ability to kind of manage who you need to pay attention to at any given time. In the center of the application here is really where you manage your communications, and I'll come back to that in a second. Below that, you've got the ability to access different parts of communication, whether that be text chatting or the ability to go back and listen to communications you needed or do some setup and configuration. And over here on the right, we'll walk through at the very end the ability to patch different groups together so that 2 groups that currently may not be able to speak to each other because they have different types of communications devices or they may be in different geographies, the dispatcher actually has the ability to bring them together to work together as a single team and turn that on and off instantly. And lastly, you'll see that this has a fully functional phone attached to it. So whether you're using a PBX within your enterprise, you can use that to make, take, and break phone calls and use it as a regular soft phone so that you don't have to get out of your dispatching application to be able to reach out to the phone network and make calls or take calls from people who may need to participate. Very important when you're patching, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So if we go back to the center of the application, you can see within this, if we're talking about Seattle Police TAC, which is here in the upper left-hand corner, I've got several things. I can mute the audio if I don't want to listen to it and I get a visual indication that that's been muted. I can also talk out, and if I talk out on that channel, you'll hear that there's audio coming out on those channels. So everybody who's participating in the Seattle Police TAC channel is now listening to what I'm saying, and in the same way, if there's audio coming in, I will hear it as a dispatcher, and you'll see down below that we're taking that information and we're logging it, so you can go back and highlight that information and look at what happened during any given incident. We can also select certain groups that we want to communicate with at once. So by hitting this select button, I can actually go out and talk to all of those at once by hitting the PT tier, and you can see that all of those channels are now broadcasting out at once They can't talk back to me all at once, but I can talk to all of them. I can also play out a specific alert that may have been recorded. So if you've got an evacuation notice, or you open up your book and there's a standard operating procedure to play out a specific alert in a given situation, you can instantly do that quite easily with this application. So those are the individual channels that you can communicate with. Now, as we move around the application, as we talked about the activity, if I am out in the field and I'm carrying a push-to-talk radio, I'm a first responder, and I talk on the channel, there's audio coming out of the channel now for the dispatcher, and you can see in the activity pane at the bottom that it is now recording that I'm talking on the channel, and it's time-stamping how long I talked and when I spoke. And as soon as I let go of the button, that activity no longer works. I can also text out to anybody that I need to on the channel. So I can select a channel, and if we continue to use the Seattle Police TAC 1, I can send a message out, and that goes out to everybody on that channel with a text-capable device. Could be other dispatchers, could be people in the field who have PCs open and operating. It could be someone with a text-capable radio or a mobile device like a Phone 7 or something that's text-capable. Everybody's getting that text at that time. I have the access to instant replay, so I can actually go back and I can select a channel, excuse me, and I can actually see what happened on that channel for how long and scroll through that up to 5 minutes of what was said on that channel. So if I come back to my PC, or my attention was turned away solving another issue, and I can see on the activity log that something happened on the Seattle Police TAC 1 channel, I can very easily bring up that instant replay and have access to it immediately and listen to it again, which is very powerful when you're in a multitasking environment like a dispatcher also finds him or herself. The audio mixer just allows you to manage where the audio is coming from and how you talk out on the mic. So in many dispatch situations, you'll have some audio coming in your left speaker, some coming out your right speaker. Dispatchers get very good at managing audio from a directional standpoint. This gives you the power to move that audio around as you need to. It also has full alarms capability. So this radio, if you can see, has an orange button here, and if someone was in distress out in the field, they would press that button and this application would light up red and it would start blinking, and a dispatcher would grab that incident, and you can see the orange acknowledgement button there, and that button would then be grabbed by a dispatcher. They would own that incident until the incident was cleared. Either they reached out to that person and said you automatically, or excuse me, that you accidentally touched your button and you just need to turn that off, or another person got to them and provided assistance. You could then complete that and move on to the next incident. That's all recorded. You can go back and monitor that later. Up here in this panel, you can see presence. So this is simply everybody who is participating in that group or on that channel. So you can get a list, you can see what their status is, you can see in this example everybody's status is available, but I could go up here as the dispatcher and change my status from available to busy because I'm doing something, and right here it's easy to see now for other people that have access to that information that I'm busy and you may not be able to reach out to me. If we talk about patching, which is the last thing I want to talk about, that gives you the ability, as I said, to take multiple of these different groups as well as phone calls and bring them together. So I'm going to do something as simple as create a patch here by just turning it on, and we're just creating a patch here on this machine. Because of the power of the Wave software, we can do all of this right on this laptop. I can take Seattle Police TAC 1 and simply drag and drop it right into the patch. And nothing has really happened now. The comms haven't changed at all. But the minute I grab, let's say, Belltown and drag that into the patch, you now have these two patches together. So if you talk out to Belltown, everybody within the Belltown group and the Seattle Police TAC 1 group is going to hear that communications. More importantly, is anybody from Belltown who's out in the field that now needs to talk to people who are part of Seattle Police TAC 1, they're now all part of the same group. So you've basically taken those two groups and brought them together as a single group. When that incident or that situation has passed and that's no longer necessary, you do one simple mouse click and that patch is now closed, and they go back to communicating with the teams that were originally set up. So that's just a few of the many features and functions that are available through the Wave Dispatch Communicator. For more information on this application as well as other Twisted Pair applications available through Microsoft, please go and check out the links that you see here on your screen.